Hello Mules and Apex Hours viewers. So welcome back to our Mulesoft first Salesforce developer sessions. So this is very important session, I would say, because we are starting with starting with learning Dataweave. Dataweave is one of the important concepts for transforming data, because we discussed, right, Mulesoft, all we are doing is transforming data from one system to another system or from one format to another format. So we don't want all data, right, or all raw data. Whatever specific information that the customer or end user requires, that is what we need to share. So for that we need some transformation or we need some logic. That logic we will perform using a language called Dataweave, that is from Mulesoft. Okay, so before learning Dataweave, just a quick agenda. So we will be discussing about the previous session, what we have covered so far, and configuration properties. This is also really important topic that we do, we use them in real-time projects extensively. So you might not understand why we are using it at the starting point of time. So I will just explain how to configure the properties, but eventually you will know why we are doing that. Okay, so after that we can get started with Dataweave 2.0 introduction, and then we will see the power of preview and online Dataweave playground. I think now that we have online Dataweave playground, I don't think we need preview, but I will show you that there is an option there. And last thing, again, Dataweave, there will be like more than 2 sessions. So this is the first part. I will start with the basics, very basics, so that even people who don't know what is JSON type or what is object or what is array, I will be considering by keeping in mind that my videos are for even people who are not from IT background, so that it will be useful for them. Okay, so I will show you with transforming one data type to another data type. So without wasting time, let's see the recap of our previous session. So we have discussed about the flow reference connector. We have done hands-on. We have seen what are attributes, variables, set variables, transfer message, logger component, and the scope of attributes, payloads, and variables. This scope of attributes, variables, and payload, please don't forget to do hands-on, because this is really important for examination point of view. Okay, so without wasting time, let's get started with configuration properties. Why do we need to configure the properties? So property values are used for best practices to extract some values from the property files using corresponding key to avoid hard coding values. So this is very important whenever you are hard coding the values. Okay, instead of hard coding those values, because those values can change at any point of time, right? In that case, you can't go and search for the value where it is placed in the code and all, right? Instead, we can use property file values to extract these values. All right, so there are two ways that you can extract the property values. One is we can extract these property values from property file using dollar of curly braces or P of small braces within single quotes. So there are two ways that we can use. You can use both of them. I will show you the difference. What is the difference between using dollar and P? P is a function that is like Dataweave function, and dollar is normal syntax that we use. So dollar of can be used anywhere at any point of time. You can use it at anywhere, any point of time, either in the configuration, like in the connector configuration, or in the Dataweave expression. But P of can only be used in Dataweave expression language. Like whenever you see this hash and square brackets, only that place we can use P of, but we cannot use P of in configuration details. Okay, and remember, either of the cases we have to restart our application if there are any changes made in property file to get the new values reflected. This is really important. Just like before, when we have done changes, we just clicked on save, right? When we saved, it is restarting. So when it is restarting, you will think that it will be applied. No, it will not apply. For every change in property file, the application has to be restarted. I will show you that as well. Okay, so let's do some hands-on. Again, I keep stressing on this point, guys. Do hands-on, then only you will be able to get the knowledge out of it. Okay, please, you can watch my video, you can pause it, do along with me. That would be more easier. So let me go back to my Anypoint Studio where we have stopped. So this is the application, right, what we have done last time. So if you remember clearly, when we have done this probably in second or third session, we have deployed an application in Cloud Hub. When we are deploying an application into Cloud Hub, what we have done is, whatever hard-coded value is there here, port, we have written something like dollar of curly brackets http dot port. Remember, I was mentioning you there that, you know, I will explain you what is dollar of in coming sessions. So this is where you will learn what is the dollar of this one. Again, here you cannot use p of. I was explaining you, right? We can use p of also. So as this is connector, and you don't find anywhere that to click on, like, you know, mule expression language to write the code, right? Hash and square brackets. So you won't be able to use p of here. You cannot write this is not valid http dot port. This doesn't work here. Okay, this will consider as a value. Okay, this will consider as a value. So in these scenarios, you can use dollar of http dot port. All right, so I will click on OK. Last time when we have deployed our application, it was failing. Remember, where did we keep that value? I told you, like, this value http.port value will be taken internally by the Mulesoft itself. And another thing where you can use p of and dollar of, right? Whenever you see here also, you cannot use p of. Anywhere you can use dollar, you know, configuration properties, but you have to mention those values. So let me deploy the application. It will fail, and we will see what is the error. Always we have to learn from the errors. Okay, this application will definitely fail because I am not defining. Whenever we are defining with dollar or p, you have to mention the value somewhere in the property file. That is very important. Okay, the application status is failed. The reason is, it is saying couldn't find configuration property value for dollar of this one from properties, provided environment, whatever it is there. So this is just an English statement. Okay, it's very simple. Could not find, it is not able to find because we didn't define. But you must be asking, Shravan, how did it work when we deployed the application? There internally it will work, but here in our local it will not work because we have to define the value. For that, what you have to do is, either you have to create two kinds of files. Okay, so under source main resources, right click, click on new and go with file. Okay, you can either create a JSON file, you know, YAML file, or you can also use .properties file. Both are fine. Okay, for now YAML, again, it's a kind of file. Okay, it has a structure. So I will start with so in the coming sessions I will try to show you the how to use both the files. Okay, so for now I can use like test.properties. The extension of the file name is properties. Create a file. Okay, now here you have to define http dot port colon 8081. Okay, save it. So this is how you have to define your value of the http dot port. Earlier we used 8081 directly here by hard coding the value, correct? Now we are not doing that. We are externalizing these values in separate file, so that whenever there is a change in a port, you don't have to go to the code, because here you can see only 4 connectors. Consider there are like 100 connectors in this file. Is it possible, like, for someone who suppose one person has developed and he left the company, okay, then another person comes and there was a request to change the port value 8082, and he can see 100 connectors here. How hard it is for him to do that, right? So in that case we can go ahead and use this property files to change the values and all. Okay, now it is saved, and let me run the project now. Again it will fail again. Meanwhile, think why it will fail. Though I am defining http dot port, it will fail. I'll tell you the reason. Okay, it is failed. Why? It is again saying the same error, again giving the same error. Why? It's saying couldn't find the configuration property. I have defined the configuration property here, but how does Mule know that it has to pick a file it has to pick a value from this file test.properties. Imagine I am creating one more file, for example, right? Let me create one more file with the same another name, right? Sorry, right click, new file. So I'll say like dev.properties. Okay, I will finish it. I will go here and I will copy paste the same values, right? How does it know whether, and I will give 80 82 here value. Now tell me how Mulesoft can know whether it has to pick this value or this value. Correct, it doesn't know. It is not human to identify, right? For that purpose, the reason why I am explaining all these things is you will not forget and you will not make this mistake anytime when you are coding it. For that purpose, you have to go to global elements, click on create. Okay, click on create and search for configuration properties here. Okay, double click that. Very simple, give the name of your file that you want to use. So I told you, right, which file, if you have same port, which file you want, so you should go with, if you want to go with test.properties, you can use test.properties, and you can add as many as here you can add as many configuration properties global elements as you want. You can create again dev. Again it will take which value will take precedence is like whatever value first it is defined, that one will take precedence, but in real time no one will do that. Okay, so now that we have seen test.properties, what I will do is cancel it, click on OK. I will run it. Now in this case it should not fail, because it says like couldn't find the configuration property file. So even if you are defining the files here, this is very important. This configuration is very important. Without this it will fail. The application itself is fail. Forget about testing, it will fail to deploy. Now you can see that status is deployed. And now if you go to Postman collection and send it, hello world Shravanlingam, you are getting here I am defining 8081, but in the connector configuration you have already seen that we are externalizing the property with http.port, right? So like this you can do. Now next thing, in how to use it inside a Dataweave transformation here. Okay, whenever you are using transform message, by default it is something like here, whatever code you are writing, whatever these characters you are writing, it is by default between this hash and square brackets. Okay, now imagine instead of using this Shravanlingam, I will try to externalize these values through property files. Okay, so for that what I will do is, again we will understand about this JSON structure. Okay, so I will say like value using dollar value using p. Okay, so what we will do is we will write some values in test.properties, say message. Okay, message is Shravanlingam or like Apex hours. Let's use different name. Okay, Apex hours. All right. So what here, to get this Apex hours value, what I need to do is, so first of all here what you can do is, I told you there are two ways, either using $off or using p of. Okay, using p of, this is the syntax, very important. So p of the key name. So whenever we are saying key is the left side one, this one, and this is the value. Okay, you have to mention the key name here. Okay, and whenever you are writing, if you observe here, I didn't enclose this $of between, like within any double quotes or single quotes here. I have written it directly. But when you are writing inside a Dataweave transformation, you have to enclose this within double quotes, that or single quotes, doesn't matter, both are one and the same. So here instead of using this, so what I'll write is $of message sorry, this is not the correct syntax. let's see. If it is failing, that is a syntax error. So whenever you get some doubt regarding this, it says like input expected double quotes or this one for object expression it's saying. So let's use double quotes first, like keep it outside and see how it gives the value. Okay, dollar of, again don't worry about this error here. Okay, if you go to configuration XML and if you see red mark here, then only it is valid. But whenever you are seeing some error here, don't care. Okay, now I told you, right, you can save this value. Okay, save the application. Now I am not redeploying it. We will see what will happen. The application will get restarted. Okay, the application will get restarted and it is saying like the application has failed because we are trying to use some different value. Okay, couldn't find configuration dollar of message. Okay, that means it is failing because we have to restart. We have to restart the application. We cannot just save it. Okay, now so I am stopping the application and running it again. And I will also show you the difference between dollar of and p of. What will happen if you give only dollar, only p of, and what will happen if you are not giving that value, something like that. Okay, let's wait for the application to be deployed. Please do hands-on, that I am stressing it again and again because these are the things that you will learn only when you do hands-on. So you can see the status is deployed, and if you run the application, so it is saying like unable to resolve dollar blah blah blah. There is something wrong here. Evaluating the expression, you can see apex hours is there, but something wrong with this dollar value. Okay, because you cannot use this syntax dollar here. So what I will do is, because it is considering as a syntax, okay, I will just give this as dollar. I will tell you how to even like print dollar symbol in Dataweave session, but for now you can ignore that part. So this is the error, that's why it is giving 500 error. It is saying like, but can you see here apex hours is already appended, so I know that something wrong with this dollar because it is placed in double quotes. It is thinking like dollar is something, some value. Okay, so it successfully started, and if you see send the request, now you can see value dollar using apex hours, append apex hours. But did I give that apex hours value here? No. How it is taking? It is taking from test.properties, this message, right? So you have to use this key key name, and this is the syntax to use. If you want to use dollar of, it should be within double quotes or single quotes. If you want to use p, you have to write something like this. All right, so this is how you can extract the properties. Again, how did it know that it has to pick from here the test.properties? It is like, because we have configuration properties set up like this. All right, now another good thing is, what I will do is I will remove message here. Okay, now I will stop the application, and what I'll do is I'll show you the difference between p and dollar. Okay, let me comment out. Comment, you can use like forward slashes like this. Okay, now what I will do, I will try to deploy the application. What if I am using only dollar, and how it behaves if we are not giving the message value? Here I am defining dollar of message. Okay, and here there is no message, there is no value for message, so we will see how it behaves. Stop, run it again. It should fail because we are using dollar of. So the status is failed, so it is still again saying like couldn't find the property, dollar of message. The reason behind is, whenever you are using dollar of, what it will do is, these values, whatever values we are defining in the dot properties file, it will load during the deployment time, during the build time, and if there is no value that is present here, the application will fail. That is the difference between dollar and p. Now let's see, instead of using, so I will comment out the dollar ones and we will see p, what will happen. Will it deploy or it will fail? Okay, it will successfully deploy, because P, whenever we are using P, those values are loaded when we are trying to send a request. Okay, that time it will take the values, it's like live time. It takes the values lively. But when we are using dollar symbol, it will load the values first during the build and deployment time, then it will append the value. Oh, here also it is failing because, okay, this is something interaction. Dollar of message, okay, it is still taking dollar of message, because even if I am commenting this, okay, it is taking the value. We have to remove this. Let me save it. Let me stop it. Let me run it. It should ideally be successful because we are using P, but even after commenting out, it is taking, it is expecting that value to be there. That is something interesting. But now it should actually, it should deploy successfully. So that is the difference. So dollar will load the values during the deployment time, but P of will load the value while this request is made. Okay, unless and until this request is made, it will not pick the value P of. That's why it will be successful. Okay, so you can see the status is deployed. Now I will run. You will observe one interesting thing. The value is giving as null. So whenever you use P, when there is no value that is there with that name, it will give the value as null. But if I use dollar of, the application itself will fail to deploy. Alright, so this is the concept of configuration properties. Please do hands-on, it is really important. Now let's dive into our most interesting topic, Dataweave. So before going to the power of preview feature, I will tell you that the important thing of Dataweave is to transform some data. It can be from one format to another format, or it can be like if you want to extract one particular data from the raw data. Suppose you have name, roll number, city, country, all these details in the raw data, but you just need the name. Okay, in that case, what you can do, you can use this Dataweave to extract only specific data. So Dataweave is the language in Mulesoft that we use to transform data from one format to another format, or to extract some data, or to do some, to play with the data. Okay, that is the concept of Dataweave. For this Dataweave, at least you should know the basics of what is an object and what is an array. Okay, before going into that topic, I will tell you that there is an interesting feature called preview feature in Dataweave. If you are not sure about the syntax you want to write, remember when we are debugging the application, we have already covered this topic in our previous session. When we are debugging the application, what we have done, we have made sure we have used x plus y feature to test one by one. For example, if you want to know the query parameters name, what did we do? First we clicked on attributes, then evaluated, then dot query parameters dot name. In that way we were able to do that. But for that part, what we have done, we have used, like for example, for that part we have deployed our application. Okay, but are you still struggling to deploy your application always to check whether your syntax is correct or not? Right? If you are like not sure, and every time you wanted to deploy the application and check, this is what it happens with other technologies, right? But Dataweave Preview and Dataweave Playground help us to overcome this. You don't have to deploy your application every time to check your syntax properly. Not all the times it will be helpful, but most of the times. Okay, and please make sure that your tooling instance is running properly, or else this feature will not be available. So let's see some hands-on on this part. Again, I don't recommend now the preview feature because sometimes it will you will get stuck. Okay, what I'm doing is I am stopping my application now. Okay, I am stopping my application now. If you go to the transform message here, again please carefully observe, and I am changing my view here because I don't want to cover most of the part for my project. Here there is an option called preview, right? For now these kind of loading properties will not work. Okay, for now what I will do is, I wanted to know how it works. Message, how my output looks like. Okay, hello Shravan. Okay, this is my syntax. Okay, now if I click on this preview feature, here it is saying running preview on my screen slowly. It will take a bit of time. That is why I'm saying like now we have another feature called Dataview Playground that you can use to see what kind of output you can expect. But once this is up and running, can you see here? So it is saying like if this is your syntax, this is the expected output. That is the power of Dataview preview feature. Again, if you go to console, the application is not on deployed status, right? So this is the advantage of this. But for that, what you have to do is, if you have to go to Windows preferences, where is my preference? Let me see here. In your Windows machine, probably you will be seeing like how to go to Windows, and there is an option called preferences. There you can see. So let me find it here. It's very navigation preferences. Let's see here. Okay, it is Anypoint Studio preferences. Sorry for that, taking time. So here you can see type tooling. Okay, type tooling, it will be under Anypoint Studio, and check the status. If your studio services are running, okay, then your preview feature will work fine. If here the status is saying like stopped, then what you have to do is you have to click on restart studio service and apply and click. Okay, that is but again for now you don't need it. Again I will show you some interesting thing. If I type 1, immediately it will show 1. If I type 1 plus 2, it is giving 3, because it is already computing this syntax and it is giving the expected output result. Okay, so like 1 into 8, it's 8 into 9, it's 72. So what this preview feature will do is, based upon your syntax, it will give what is the kind of output that you will get. For example, next I will write in double quotes Ravan. Okay, and I wanted to convert this into uppercase. Okay, I will use this function in Dataweave. You can see it is converting. So this is the advantage of Dataweave preview. But I always suggest, now if you search Dataweave Playground, search Dataweave Playground. Okay, my Wi-Fi is turned off, but Dataweave Playground you can always use. I will show you in our next session. Okay. Sorry guys, there was some internet connectivity issues, but if you search with search for Dataweave Playground, okay, the first link that you have to click, and that will take you to the Dataweave Playground. This is online tool of Dataweave. There you can try to give your input here, okay, and your syntax here, and you will get the expected output here. So you can see this is your input and this is your output, like payload. This is your whole payload, and if you want to extract only the value, so they are using like payload dot message, and this is giving you hello world. But if I remove and do the same dance that we have done before, 1 plus 2, it will give 3. Okay, same thing whatever we have done, right? 7 into 8, right, 56. So this is the same. So if you have any doubts in writing a syntax, for example, if you want to convert into upper of like Sravan Lingam, right, it is converting. Okay, all this stuff you can make use of it. This is really helpful for you when you don't know about the syntax, when you don't know about how to write the syntax. Please make use of these two tools. I always prefer online Dataweave tool. This was not there 2 years ago, 2 years before when I taught the first session. This was not available. Okay, so coming back to our session, so that is the power of this one. And let's start with understanding of objects and arrays. This is again for those who know already what is an object and what is an array, and those who know what is JSON, you can skip it. But people who are freshers, who are not from IT background, or who are not too technical, this is useful for you. Please concentrate this and don't make any mistakes in identifying an object or an array. All right, so let's get started. How to identify an object and an array? Okay, so object, very simple. I will give you some syntax, okay, some things that you can by heart and you can remember, that will be easy. Okay, object, whenever I say object, that object is always enclosed with curly braces, the red color ones, right, which I have given, and it should always contain a key value pair. That means that is an object. All right, so object is always enclosed within curly braces and it should have key value pair. Examples, I will show you few examples. We will see what are the right ones and what are the wrong ones. Okay, 1 2 3 4, there are 4 examples here. Let's take the first example. So first example, I can see, first thing, you have to always go with the outer ones. Okay, that is how you have to identify things. Outer ones, I can see curly braces. Okay, fine, my first check is over. And what is the second check? Contains key value pair. So key value pair is always like separated by colon. Here name is key, value is Shravan in the first example, and both are separated by colon. So that's the reason this is a right object. This is called as an object. Next thing, go to the second example. So second example, again outer side. Okay, I see it is enclosed with curly braces, and within this now we have two things. Name Shravan is already there in the first example, we have seen that is right, but there is one more thing called id colon 2. Here this is id colon 2 is also a key value pair. Now we have two key value pairs within curly braces. The question is whether it is correct object or not. The object is correct as long as the both key value pairs are separated by comma. Okay, so as now it is still following 2, right, enclosed within curly braces, which is fine, and it has key value pairs and it is separated by comma, so this is also a valid object. This is called as an object. Okay, now third example, let's see. Okay, it is enclosed with curly braces, which is fine according to our definition of object, but does it contain key value pair? No, I can see only one thing. I cannot say whether it is a value or it is a key, right? That's the reason it is not an object. To become an object, what we have to do is either we have to add a key or value. It should always be like key colon value in that format. So this is entirely wrong. The first example is right. Okay, now coming back to the second example, enclosed within curly braces. Okay, it is fine. Now we have key value pair name and 7, that is also fine. There is another value and it is separated by comma, but that another value is not in the format of key value pair. Only number 2 is there. There is no id or no key anywhere, right? So that is wrong. Okay, so now by now you have to tell what is the correct object, right? So key value pair, and it should be enclosed within curly braces, and if there are multiple key value pairs, each key value pair should be separated by a comma. These are like very basic things, but I wanted to explain you so that you won't make any mistakes when identifying an object and array. So this is all about object. Okay, so we'll see hands-on after knowing what is array also. Okay, an array is always enclosed with square brackets and it contains only values. This is opposite of object. Okay, in object I told it is enclosed with curly braces and it should have key value pair, but here it should have only values. Let's see the examples. There are 3 examples here. The first example is it is enclosed with square brackets. Okay, first check is completed, which is fine, and it's saying it should contain only values. If you see here, I have only values. Shravan is value. There is no colon to separate key value pair, right? So Shravan comma 2 comma Mulesoft, all these 3 are separated by commas, which is fine, and it has only values, no key value pair. That's why it is a valid array. Now second, by default I will reject immediately. It is not an array because this is enclosed within a curly braces. That means this is a object, not an array. So this is, sorry, this is this should be like cross mark, my bad. Okay, so here the third one is also, it is wrong because first let me change this one. So this should be wrong. This is not an array, this is object. Okay, this is an object. So come back to our sessions. Okay, oops, okay, this. All right, so the last example is also wrong. Though it is enclosed with the square brackets, it is a key value pair, but arrays should not have key value pairs. It should have only values. So now let's do some hands-on. So for this, again, object and array is not related with Mulesoft. You can see them in Salesforce, you can see in Java. It's general notation of a data. Okay, so for that, what I will do is I will go with a JSON lint. Okay, this is the common tool that I always use for to validate whether it is correct one or not. Okay, now my first question is this one, whether name : Shravan, is this an object? So this is like a format. Okay, JSON formatter. It will tell us whether it is a valid JSON or not. So we can call a data is valid JSON or not, whether it can be a combination of array, object, or it can be even a array is a valid JSON, even an object is a valid JSON. So it will say whether it is valid or not. It says like your JSON is valid. Now what I will do, I will remove the key here and I will click on validate JSON. It says invalid JSON. Okay, because I am enclosing this is a curly braces, which means an object. The object should always have key and value. Okay, key and value. It's not necessary that name should always be here. These are just the names. You can write Shravan here, you can write name, doesn't matter. Okay, but I am talking only about the syntaxes. So it is enclosed with curly braces and should have key value separated by colon. This is an object. Okay, so next array 1 2 2 3 4. Click on this. It is JSON is valid because this is valid array. You can have one value, you can have double values, more than one value, and you can also have an object within an array. This one is also valid, but when it comes to object, you have to make sure that object is following the rules of key value pair. Okay, this is also a valid JSON object. Okay, because first outer side. So if you ask me like what is this called as, I will say like this is array, because whatever is there outside the square brackets, that represents array, not because you see like curly braces inside it is an object. Okay, it's always what is the outer part that is enclosed with, but inner part, this whole thing it will consider as a value. Now here you have to make another check. Okay, you are seeing like flower braces or curly braces, and when you see curly braces it is an object, and again you have to follow that rules whether it is having key value pair or not. What if I am removing this name and click on this one? It says invalid JSON because this is failing. This rules, object rule is failing. Okay, so please try to do some kind of hands-on stuff and try to use this JSON lint to validate your these things. All right, so now coming to the last part of this particular session, we are just starting with Dataweave. So I wanted to make it simpler. So transforming one data type to another data type in Mule 3, this statement again you can ignore, but this is just for your understanding. In Mule 3, we used to have separate connectors to convert from one type to another type. Okay, we used to use connectors, but in Mule 4 we are using Dataweave to achieve this. Okay, example: JSON to XML, XML to JSON, JSON to CSV, and many more. And those who are new in IT, those who don't know anything about XMLs or JSON or text or CSV, guys, in simpler words, JSON, XML, CSV, all these are kind of different type of formats that the data is being represented. Just for example, I will again I don't use the code right here right now. I'll show you one small example here. There is message and hello world. This is a JSON object. Okay, why I'm saying object? Because it is enclosed with curly braces and it is having key value pair. Now I want to convert the same input JSON into another format. How can I do that? I can make use of, I told you in my example that in Mule 3 we used to have connectors, but now we can make use of JSON. Here output type I am mentioning as JSON, but what I can do, first I will try to convert it into CSV. Okay, for CSV it will expect an array. So first I will explain XML. this is giving an error saying that trying to output non-white space character blah 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 blah. Okay, for now what I will do is I will remove this. You can see payload. So this is one format of data, but the message is same, hello world, the hello world and message. You can see here message, only the way the format, the way it is displayed is different. That is called formats. Why we need different of formats? Because some systems, if for example if soap systems, soap services, they always expect XML. Okay, and what if your input is JSON but your soap service is XML? We have to convert, right? In such scenarios we are trying to use this Dataweave to transform from one format to another format. Here you have seen it's very simple how it is happening, right? Next city Hyderabad. Okay, now it is trying to say like second root element, trying to output second root element blah blah blah. So XML has some certain formats. Every just now we have discussed about arrays and objects, correct? It has some formats like square brackets, curly braces, and when it is curly braces you have to mention like name, colon, like key value pair, because that's how it is designed. Okay, those are the standards, you cannot question them. Those are the standards we need to follow. Similarly, if we are using XML, if you are having more than one field, it should always have a root element on top of this. For example, I'll say like name, okay, Sravan Lingam, city Hyderabad, country India. Okay, here it is saying like trying to output second root element blah 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 blah. Now if I try to do the same thing in my studio here, go and copy paste, because that is the use of this Dataweave playground. Okay, now that you know the syntax, what you will do, you will save it here and run it, and let me pass the input. How to pass the input? So here, as long as right now we are always using get method, you can still use get method. Go to body, okay, choose raw data here and choose the type as JSON. This is your input. Again, for always best practices and best standards, whenever you are posting some data, please use post method, doesn't matter. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is I am posting the data. Just imagine like this is my username, password to log in into Facebook or any Instagram, something like that. Okay, now I want to see this data in the XML format. What I am trying to do here, I am getting error. Okay, so here also you should get error once it is deployed. Okay, status is deployed. If I send the request, can you see it is saying the same error that you have seen here? Okay, now what we have to do, it is saying like you should have a root element. Okay, so for that what I have to do is again or details, I will say details colon. Okay, because always XML should have a root element, in that it should have these values. Now it looks good for me. So details, my name is Ravan, this is city and country, and these are the details. Now I can just copy and paste it in my code. Just copy paste, save it, and you will see the output. Okay, and Dataweave syntax, whatever you're writing, okay, the syntax format is always like this. Okay, DW 2.0, this is the general syntax, and next one, what is the type of output that you wanted, you have to mention here, and this part is called headers, this part is called body. Okay, headers and bodies are separated by 3 dashed lines here. Okay, but don't forget about this, you can forget about this because this is by default, whenever you drag and drop these things appears. Okay, so you can write details payload like this, or you can also keep like this, doesn't matter. Okay, so let us see if our application is restarted. Yes, application is restarted because I can see started app, and now send the this one. You can see your output type is XML. This is how you can convert from JSON to XML. Now what if you are having input as XML? You can choose this input as XML, and now you want to try to output it as JSON. Can you see here? It is giving JSON. Very simple. Here in JSON you don't have that root, you don't need those root elements and all. Now see how easy it is transferred to, transform from one format to another format. So this is how you can do. Now what you can do, you can copy this syntax, go here, what I can do is, instead of copy pasting, I will delete this, and instead of writing output application JSON XML, I will write output application JSON. Save it. Now your target is to convert XML to JSON. Here it is like JSON to XML. Now what I will do, I will copy this, I will paste it here, and you have to choose XML here, okay, this one, and you should see JSON. Application started successfully. If you see, I am now getting the format as JSON. So likewise, if you have more than one details, for example, if you want to convert, or let me keep JSON itself, okay, and choose this as JSON input, and you want only city. How to get city? This is the payload. Payload means whole message, okay, payload means whole message. How to get only city value Hyderabad? So this is whole payload. Within that you have to fetch that key name. So payload dot city. Now my output is showing only Hyderabad. I don't want all these details. I want to know only the city name. I want to convert this particular city name into uppercase. For that, Mulesoft has very simple. Mulesoft has like hundreds of functions which are very simple to use. So upper, small braces, within that payload dot city Hyderabad. Okay, now remove upper, and what if you are giving wrong key name which is not present at all? Okay, here it says like instead of city, I'll say wrong. I will give the wrong spelling for the key name. It will give null. So spellings are very important. You have to make sure that you are using the right keys. If you give country here, it will give country name. Like this, you can transform one format to another format. Again, we just started with Dataweave. Dataweave is a huge concept, but I will try to explain in a simpler way. Please do hands-on for Dataweave. That is really important. Let it be coming to point of certification exam, or in the real-time scenarios, or in the interviews. They will ask you to share your screen and do the hands-on part when it comes to interviews and all. So please try to do hands-on. So today we have covered configuration properties, Dataweave introduction, power of Dataweave preview and online Dataweave playground, and transforming one data type to another, and of course we have seen how to use these tools. So please follow us on all social media of Apex Hours, as well as my YouTube channel Mulesoft Tech Zone. You can always reach out to me if you have any questions. Please comment if you have any questions, and hope to see you in the next session.